Well, one of the good things is when you hang out with people around your old age, you're around your old age.
Around your old age, yes.
You're around your yeah. Everybody's saying the same thing. Like
They talk about senior moments. If only it were a moment.
most. I
Oh, I'm having
know.
a senior day, actually.
You are listening to What's Next? Conversations with Boomers, and I'm Barb Desmarais, your host. So if you've been listening for the last little while or not, I will tell you that we've had a bit of a theme over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and that is letting go. And so we talked about when you downsize or when you move, there comes a time when you got to let go of things, or you look at boxes that have been in your garage or in your basement and know that you haven't looked at them for years. You got to let go. That was a really fun conversation. And then we talked about letting go of people who have passed and being able to move on from that. So we would be remiss without talking about those people that we need to let go of, but they are still around. But it's a relationship we have to let go of. It could be a friendship we have to let go of. So, of course, we have relationship coach Tim Wade back, and we're going to have a back and forth just talking about this very interesting topic. Tim, welcome back. We have missed you.
Barb D, how are you?
Yeah, I'm Barb D. Yeah, not
Yeah.
Barb W. I'm fine. Yeah. I've as I said before we started recording this, I have been ridiculously consumed with the political climate in both the US and Canada. It's become very interesting. And
Yes.
if you're not listening for 15 minutes, something has happened.
Yeah, it's one of the fastest moving series that I've ever watched on Netflix. Wow.
Exactly.
So, and I'm never caught up. I'm always like, wait, show the recap.
Show the recap. Yeah, I know. Did you know your president took off from the G7 meeting here yesterday?
Yeah, because he had to golf, I guess.
I
I don't know.
guess, yeah. There's been all sorts of he was because of this, because of that. Anyway, we are talking about letting go. So I'm going to ask you first, have you ever, throughout your relationship history, had a relationship that ended, but you couldn't seem to get the person out of your head? They still took up a lot of real estate,
Yeah.
shall we say, in your head, and knew you had to move on, but couldn't.
Yeah, I did. I did. Yeah. It's that song by Electric Light Orchestra, I think. I can't get him out of my head. Um, it's it can be really unnerving to every time you turn around, something reminds you of, right? And
Uh-huh.
it's a song, it's a place, it's a plate of pasta, whatever it is, and you think of them and like, oh, remember when we ate pasta?
Yeah. Remember when we watched that show together?
Yes, that horrible show that we hated, but still we were
That's right.
together anyway. But yeah, and I think that we've talked about my divorce before on this show,
We
and
have.
it's interesting that at one point during our divorce, I said to my best friend, I said it would be easier, I think, if I hated her.
That's the problem, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I was pining, as they say in Britain, pining, and it was because I still had such fond and good memories and feelings for her, and vice versa, actually. We never really stopped loving each other. We just couldn't live in the same house, and needed a sabbatical.
And you had a
So
long one.
yeah, long one. Yeah, it's 8 years.
Mm.
So maybe I don't know if the remedy is, have it end badly, but um, or there's an old there's an old phrase that they say on the dude ranches. Cowboys say, the best way to get over a woman is get under another one. Now,
That sounds like
I don't
something a
say that.
man would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't say
Yeah.
that. I mean,
No,
that's a
no,
cowboy
no, it
thing.
doesn't sound like you.
So, you know, um, time obviously
Yeah.
changes things. So if you're willing to let go, some people carry a torch for a long time. I didn't. I was lucky to have good coaching, have good help, and be able to put my energy elsewhere. I did not start another relationship. That was important to me. I wanted to spend time with me,
Hmm.
kind of revisit enjoying my own company, which did actually also help. Yeah. Have you ever heard of PIES?
PIES. I have not. What's that?
Physical, intellectual, emotional, and spiritual. And it's where people say, well, take care of your pies. It
Take
doesn't have
care of your
anything to do with
paws.
pie, but it just happens.
Right.
So one of the ways that I was able to let go and move on was to focus on making sure that I was physically as healthy as I could be, emotionally healthy, as spiritually, all of that. So it's hitting on all those cylinders. Uh, and still was hard.
That has got to be the healthiest kind of response to this. And it's amazing how many people don't do that. I mean, you mentioned, I needed time to be with me, to look at my pies,
My
physical,
pies.
intellectual, emotional, spiritual, because there are people that will, to use the word pining, we use that in Canada. I'm pining for somebody.
I'm pining for Barack Obama right now.
Yeah,
I
I
wasn't
am
gonna go
too.
political again, but
Well, it's okay. It's okay. I think most of the
anyway,
world is getting political. Yeah, I'm
yeah.
pining for him too, for you. Um, but yes, so there are people that are absolutely stuck in the pining and all the messiness that go on. They can't move on. And there's other people that they just get into another relationship instantly to sort of help themselves move on, which really doesn't help at all.
No, the statistics are
Rebound.
very bad. Statistics are very bad for uh, overlapping or rebound relationships. Yeah, they don't do well.
They do not do well. Yeah. Yeah. So why is it? Why is it do you think people can't move on?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, I think. One is um, there is a bittersweet feeling in being melancholy about your relationship or pining um, that has a payoff. You get to kind of feel sorry for yourself and be the victim and have people console you. And, there can be a lot of reinforcement and then people try to take you out and cheer you up. And it's like, yeah, let's keep doing this. You just call someone and say, I need to be cheered up. Where do you want to go?
Hmm.
So there is that to a certain extent. I think also moving on takes effort. It doesn't necessarily just happen, at least not quickly. But
For most
most of
people,
all,
it takes,
yeah,
yeah, it takes a while.
takes. If I had to point at one thing that I think is the the cause of this kind of not being able to get over someone, it's the death of the fantasy.
Right. Right. And as I was mentioning to you through text, I grabbed some quotes from both Gillian Turecki and Matthew Hussey, and
Mm.
yeah, they kind of allude to that also. It's you've created something in your head that really isn't a match for reality. It's quite different. and we hang on to that fantasy, or we hang on to that potential. Oh gosh, I saw great potential in this. I could see us really going somewhere. I could see us being together forever.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, it's interesting you say potential because I think a lot of times potential is a trap. It's better to have potential than to have actually tried something and failed.
Well, yeah, because potential hasn't failed yet. You haven't really gone through
No.
the.
Oh, you have so much potential. Thanks. You
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
done anything. So it's the same way when you look at a relationship, the potential feels really good, even though it hasn't come to be necessarily. But we have this book and it's called The Way It's Supposed to Go.
Yeah,
Right? We all
yeah.
have
We've
it.
all got that one. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it's a really big book, um, and you're carrying it around for a long time. And whatever's coming next in whether this is a marriage or a friendship or whatever in your life does not yet exist in that book. Or another way people say it sometimes is what got you here will not get you where you're going or where you want to
Uh-huh.
be.
Uh-huh.
And so part of letting go means a reinvention. It means a fresh start, but fresh starts, blank page, all of that can be daunting. So it's sometimes holding on is easier.
Turning the page. It's hard. I want to stay on this page. Talk about the whole idea of chapters, seasons. Because I absolutely, yeah, I completely agree.
I think that this is a really a societal thing. This idea of everything has to last forever. I'm talking not just relationships, that we as a species don't do great with change, and we don't do very well with endings. And some endings are inevitable. They're not bad. When you have teenagers and they move into young adulthood and then adulthood, well, if you don't let go, it's going to be very difficult to have a good relationship with them. You know that, I'm sure. I'm going through
Absolutely.
that now. So we automatically already have this thing that everything should last forever and be great and never end. But everything does end, everything. And romantic relationships are at the top of the list. The till death do us part thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot easier to keep as a promise when everyone died at 35 years old. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it was like
Mm-hmm.
we didn't think we'd last this long, and now we're hanging on into 80, even 90,
Yeah.
above beyond that, and
Yeah.
it's like not every relationship was meant to last your whole life.
Some obviously were, because I will say that there are many people who are still very happily married 50 years later,
Sure.
and there are people who have had to say goodbye after 30 years, 40 years.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We make an exception for death. If you're a
Yes.
widower or a widow, oh well, that's okay then that it didn't last your whole life because
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, you're a failure. Marriage, is a failure if you separate, get divorced, all of that. And I think it's a really bad way to look at that, considering the divorce rate is somewhere around 50%. And then when they study the 50% that stay together and how many of them are actually happily married
I know.
and not just in some sort of Mexican standoff or detente or whatever you want to call it of, well, we have a truce going here and we're just going to try not to bother each other, between now and then. So I think a rethinking of what relationships are and that there are seasons in any relationship, even the ones that last 50, 60 years, there are seasons, there are chapters.
Oh God. In my own marriage, we were probably, married and separated and got back together 30 times. Well, we never, we always lived together, but we were
Yeah.
coming close to separating many times. And then we would, everything we would resolve and get back together, and we did that many times. And each time that we reconciled, it was like a new marriage. It was like a new beginning.
Mm. Well, Barb and I, obviously, we had our, when we met and our honeymoon phase, and then our living together phase, and then our married phase, and then our children phase, and our chapters. Then we had our divorced chapters, and then we have now our recoupling
Hmm.
chapter. It's
Yeah,
we're going through, we've been through a lot of changes
you have.
uh, in 36 years. So to expect that things won't shift, I always thought that if you wanted to write the traditional wedding vows truthfully, one of the things that would be in there is, do you solemnly swear never to change
Right.
for the rest of your life?
And hopefully we do change in that we evolve over time. I mean, I like to think that I'm not the same person right now that I was when I was 30, because I've
I
grown
sure,
through
yeah, hope not.
challenges. I know I am not, believe it or not, I am not. And I didn't have this hair
Yeah.
before, I'll tell you.
Well,
This gray hair.
yes, I used to have massively large curly hair it was almost black. Uh,
Right.
yeah.
So
So,
those are
but
things you have to let go of, right? You have
yeah.
to.
And have you ever, I don't know do you guys do like class reunions up there?
We do, yeah. We
Okay.
have high school
So
reunions, yeah.
there are times that I've been to a couple of them, and there's like some guy that he's acting the same way he did in high school. He's
Hmm.
kind of just solidified into that mode of, he's still that guy, and not in a really great way. Like it's a
That's
little
right.
unseemly. It's kind of like, that was kind of fun and cute, and we put up with it, and when we were in high school. But you're a grown man now. That's just, stop it.
It's not attractive.
Just
Yeah, an 18-year-old in a 60-year-old body
yeah,
isn't cool.
no, not as much as you would think. So, but back to
Yeah.
the chapters. There's lots of ways to divvy up a life, right? Whether it's a relationship or not. And some chapters are short, some are long. It's all over the place, right? I have a good friend named Jed Diamond, and he wrote a book. I believe it's called The Enlightened Couple, The Enlightened Relationship. Sorry, Jed. Um, we'll look it up. Anyway, he talks about 5 stages of a relationship, and that most relationships go through, whether they know it or not. And the one that is most common, believe it or not, is disillusionment.
Hmm.
So one of the things that I wanted to mention about letting go of a relationship is always make sure that it's the right thing, whether it's a friendship or a marriage. Give it some time, because there can be just a chapter called disillusionment, which basically means, um, okay, I fell in love with this person and they were perfect, of course,
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
perfect for me.
Uh-huh.
And that lasted a while. You like pizza? I like pizza. This is great.
We're a
And
match.
I know, and then she says, I like anchovies. And you go, maybe not. And then you do
Uh,
the, nesting and home, you become a couple and all that stuff. And then there's a point where you look at the other person, you go, you're not as perfect as I thought you were. It turns out you're actually human.
you're human. Yeah.
Ah, well,
Ah,
you didn't say that.
you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, what's up? And that is the stage where many people get divorced, because they're
Yeah.
like, well, this just isn't working anymore, or it's not what I need, or, so there is a certain amount of being judicious about letting go, when you really have done what you feel is your best. I tell my clients, I want, look back on this time. If you guys end up getting divorced, I want you to be able to look back and say, I'm proud of the way I showed up. I'm
Mm-hmm.
proud of the way I handled this.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't turn out the way I wanted, but so,
I did my best.
yeah.
Uh, yes, I made mistakes, but this, I want to show up as my true self And I'm going to assume that that person is showing up as their authentic self. We don't match. We don't, it's this is, and I don't, we can't expect somebody to change. I mean, that's something that I've had to realize as I've got older. This is who he is. And it's not a, that's, if I don't like it, I've got to move on. If it doesn't work for me, and the same goes the other way.
Yes. And part of holding on is this idea of like, if I just, you know, grip tighter and try to control more, this person, he'll change
He'll
something,
change. Yeah.
and
I can get him to stop this or stop that or
yeah, whatever it is that's bugging me at the moment. And
Mhm.
it does the opposite, really. One of the things about letting go in any relationship is I think it can be a supreme act of love. It's definitely courageous. And that's not just love for the other person, it's love for you too.
Yes.
And
Good
they're
point.
part of the persevering, staying the course, all of that. Sometimes that can be self-abandonment.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And don't you
Yes.
think that our age bracket, our boomerisms, are we have a lot of loyalty.
Hmm.
We're very loyal and very much like, no, you do the right thing and you just keep doing it. And I know men are like this in some of the most stubborn ways. Just keep your head down, keep going forward, you know.
Hmm.
And sometimes you need to be loyal to yourself.
Absolutely. Because, our most valuable resource, time is our most precious thing right now. And if we're wasting time turning ourselves into a pretzel to please somebody else, then you've abandoned yourself. Our best self is our true self, is our authentic self. That's how we can show up the best.
And
People can tell if you're trying, if you're putting on an act.
oh, absolutely. And we often, when we are less evolved, think that they're buying it, the act,
Yeah.
so to
Yeah.
speak. And uh, the idea of someone loving you for someone who you aren't is just, when you say it, it's like, that's ridiculous. Somebody once said on a t-shirt or something, it's better to be hated for who you are than loved for who you're not.
Who you're not. Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
And yet we all think we got to do the show and put on, a happy face and best foot forward, all of those things. And yes, but not in a fake way.
Not in a fake way. Right.
And the fear of being rejected um, is very, very painful.
It's very painful.
Yeah. And we can twist ourselves, like you said, into pretzels, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah. To
Trying
prevent
to
being
please
rejected.
someone else. But
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, there is a period of pain because that's in the category of change. I've got to, okay, now this person isn't in my life and I'm not going to be doing this and this and this anymore. And I have to give up all these things and that's painful. But if you can get through that, most of the time life is going to be better because you open yourself up to new possibilities.
right. And it's more painful because, well, you're the one being left, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't get to make this decision, so it got taken out of your hands and all of that kind of stuff, which makes it harder. I like the idea about rejection is difficult for another reason, and that is because it's proof that you're not good enough,
Oh, oh,
as
just
opposed to you're not right for this person. It's got to be something deficient in you. That's why you're being rejected, which a lot of times is not the case at all. It sure feels that way.
absolutely not the case at all. I remember feeling that way when I was rejected, in my teen years. I had lots of boyfriends but as I've mentioned on this, I dated for a long time after my husband died and I had 5 romantic relationships and I ended some and a couple were ended by the other person. But I guess because I have worked so hard on myself over, I mean, because I felt I had to throughout my marriage. I had to keep reflecting on what is my part in this and how do I need to grow and all of those things. And I was just able to say, I mean, that's why I liked what you said about the chapters. Okay, that was a short chapter, and I can only be me. And if that person doesn't want to be with me, I don't want to be with somebody that doesn't want to be with me. And if I had left them, and I suppose, why didn't you give it a more chance? Why did you end it so? Well, if this is who they are, it's not up to me to change them. That is absolutely not going to work for me, and I deserve better. My standards are here, and I'm not willing to settle, and I'm firm in that. But it's taken me a while to get there.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anyone ever taught me how to do that. It's not like that was a lesson in school.
No,
It's
no.
a lesson hard won over time. And there's this book by Mel Robbins that just came out, Let Them, The
Hmm.
Theory of Let Them. Now she didn't
Which
come
has
up with
become
that.
very controversial because that let them was actually coined by somebody else. So she's been,
Yes, and
yeah.
more than one person has,
Hmm.
uh, including Tyler Perry as Medea, that character he plays.
Oh, oh,
That's the first place I saw it, which was about 15 years ago, of him saying, if someone walks out of your life, let them go.
let them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So she's taking old wisdom and repackaging it, which happens all the time. But the point, the actual core of it, it still resonates. Why would you want to be with someone who categorically does not want to be near you?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
And so there's, learning self-love through the process of letting go is profound.
yeah.
And you realize anyone can reject you or abandon you, but you don't have to abandon yourself.
Such a good point, Tim. You absolutely don't need to abandon yourself. And to be able to really adhere to the whole idea, I deserve to be loved. I deserve better. I deserve to be with somebody who appreciates and loves me for who I am. And I'm not going to settle for less. And that's not saying I'm finding the perfect person. We don't even know what that means. But if somebody is disrespecting you or breadcrumbing you or not showing up or just not supporting you or you don't feel safe around them, you deserve better.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's important to know what it is you want in a friendship, what it is you want in a close partnership, in a marriage. And, I do this with my clients. I have them figure out what their top five must-haves are.
Yeah, we've talked about that,
We've talked about that, right? So I
which is
think
really good.
knowing that for any of your relationships. I had a friend, we were great friends for many, many years, decades. We met when we were like 11 years old and knew each other well into adulthood. And sadly, he, had some mental health issues and other things going on in his life. And I finally had to um, just back away from the relationship. And it was painful to do that. Even when you're the one leaving, it can be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's painful also. When you have to realize this friendship, because you're talking about a friendship,
Mhm.
this friendship isn't working anymore. We are no longer in alignment.
Right.
And I can't be who I am, or I don't feel psychologically safe around this person. And that's difficult too.
We don't have the same values anymore.
We don't have the same
That's a
values,
big one. That was
right?
kind of what it was in this friendship.
And that's often the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wanted to continue being friends. We didn't live close together, but now with 24-hour access to anyone,
Hmm.
Um,
Anyone,
and
anywhere.
anyone, everywhere, all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And so that, to have to block someone who's been a friend for decades is hard. And it pains me that he's went through what he went through and all that, but I could not uh, be good to myself, take care of myself, and continue that relationship. And sometimes it feels like, well, are you being selfish? And it's
No,
like, no, no, self-care is not selfish.
absolutely not.
And yeah, here's another thing about that. And the idea that you can hold on to someone goes, you know, in line with letting them go. What I mean by that is I say, uh, let go of them, not let them go.
Mm.
It's a subtle distinction, but it's basically you don't have the power to keep them. You never did.
Hmm.
So you're not like, well, fine. If you don't want to be with me, I deign to let you go. I bequeath you this freedom. It's like she's
Hmm.
going, dude. She's out the door. So,
Yeah.
but you can uh, release your grip, and
Hmm.
that is mostly for your own well-being. Do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which can be hard. I like that you mentioned, when you and Barb, after your divorce, you did coaching, therapy, talking to a lot of people. That's really important that you don't do this alone. And, lots
Right.
of times it's necessary to find yourself a coach or a therapist or somebody that you can really lean on, as long as you know that this period has an expiry date, that your friends
Mhm.
don't want to be listening to you for 5 years or whatever.
Yeah, you can get really dull and boring with the
Right, because
same.
it's the same thing over and over and over again. And
Yeah. 5 years
yeah.
later, and you know what else she said? I
Yeah.
was just coming out another one bartender. I said, yeah, right. It's like the drunkalogue of
Yeah, you told me that 20 times now. Yeah, God, yeah, that before. Yeah.
right. So, but good friends, a therapist, all of that. Doing it alone is really not good for any part of your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, intellectual health. None of that. It's just
It
really
isn't.
difficult. Even if you're an introvert, even if you tend to be a loner, even in nature, the lone wolf, there isn't really such a thing that, they will find wolves that get separated from the pack. They don't last very long. So this myth about the lone wolf being, individualist freedom, gonna do it on my own, bootstrap, all of that is really made up. We are social animals that stick together and help
Yeah,
each other.
we need our community. Yeah.
So that's a good point. If you happen to be going through any type of breakup or separation or whatever it is, uh, grab someone that you can really talk to. Now, I think that women have it way up on us guys, in that you have cultivated your whole lives people to talk to.
We have.
We're like, well, beer and football, we
That's
could talk
right.
about
That's
that.
what you talk about. Yeah, and
Yeah.
politics now, I guess.
Right. But when men do learn that there are some other men that they can talk to about have the real conversation, they really like it.
Oh,
They
of
want more.
course.
Like, where was this my whole life?
Right,
So,
right. Gosh, somebody's actually listening to me and is interested. And
yeah.
yeah.
And often the best way is someone who goes, I know how you feel. I know what you're feeling. I understand. I get you. That's a very healing thing to hear from
Oh,
someone.
yeah. Well, it's very validating.
Yeah.
I had an experience many years ago with the friend that I'd had for so many, many, many years. And she used to complain about her partner. Well, it wasn't her husband. They've been together forever, but complained, because always, 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 and it went on and on and on and on and on. And one phone call, I said to her at some point, I think you're going to have to realize this is a choice, being that this is a choice of yours to stay. And she cut me off. She didn't want to talk to me ever again. So you do run the risk if you're the person on the receiving end and you've decided I can't listen to this anymore because nothing is changing. I mean, this has gone on for years. That person, I don't want to hear that because then they realize they've got to do something about it and they're not prepared to. So, but I had no guilt around saying what I said. But I thought, sometimes you run the risk of if you're going to be truthful and honest with somebody, I can't listen to this anymore. Or as I said, you have to realize that this is a choice.
Right. And their
It's
reaction
just,
is confirmation that you're probably making the right choice.
oh yeah,
She
yeah.
didn't say, really? Huh. Like, maybe you're right. Tell me
Yeah,
more
maybe you're
about
right,
that.
or I'm going to have to think
Any of
about
that.
that.
It was just like, no, screw you.
Yeah,
And
screw you.
when people have dearly held beliefs and even self-image, like this is an identity, they don't easily let go of it. And your identity can be the complaining victim person. That
Exactly. Exactly. And that's really interesting that you say that because when we did the episode on letting go of things, I looked up on my chat GPT. Okay, why is it that we have a hard time letting go of things? And one of the things that was said was it because some of those things, their things, become part of your identity. So when
right.
you let go of them, you're letting a piece of you go. So it can be the same with people.
Oh, absolutely. And there are times when that's completely understandable. Someone you've been involved with for a long time, your children. You're never going to fully let go of your children, but boy, you got to release the grip.
You got to
Uh,
release the grip. You
in
got to
fact,
give them their wings.
I'll tell you a story.
Tell me a
For,
story.
uh, I've talked about my children before on here,
You
and
have.
my older child moved into their own apartment at near the beginning of the year, maybe February, and for the first time, so left home,
Yeah.
and
21, right?
yeah, 21,
Yeah.
and she's doing great, and I have to say, I didn't think it would be that hard for me,
Oh,
and it was.
oh, was
Um,
it?
Yeah. And she lives close by. So it's not like any big thing, but I felt it. I felt that, I missed her. I really did. And I see her pretty regularly because I'm very fortunate that she misses me and we
Hmm.
like to do things together and hang out and, you know, stuff. So, but yeah, it was another chapter. And then my younger one, my 19-year-old, moved out about a month ago.
Oh, so both of them now.
Both of them are gone now. Again, he lives a little further away, but he's still nearby in Colorado. And wow, that was sort of like the double whammy. And when
Yeah.
people talk about empty nest and all that, I was like, yeah, that'll happen someday, I guess. Well,
Yeah. And all of a sudden it happens.
someday is
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And
It is a new chapter for sure because we as parents, a lot of us, a huge part of our identity is our role as parents, and regardless of how old our kids are.
yeah, if I'm not the constant safeguard and teacher, policeman, all of the roles that we play
Yeah.
sometimes as parents, if I'm not doing that full time, do I have a job even? Like,
That's right. It's a
who am
big
I?
part of our purpose. Yeah. Oh, what now? Oh,
And Barb pointed to that first. She said, "Wow, my kids have special needs, and so there's an extra layer of anxiety around, are they going to be okay? Are they going
And
to,
protection.
and yeah, can they do this? And one of the reasons, my son has now told us, I love you guys, but man, you wouldn't let me do anything.
Oh,
I couldn't, I felt like I couldn't be, continue to grow up under that roof. I mean, that's one of the reasons why he said, I gotta go. Um, and you know what? He was right.
but Tim, kudos to you and Barb that he felt safe enough to say that. There's a lot of kids that feel that, but they won't say it for fear of incrimination.
Right, right, exactly. And I know that we will continue to have a close relationship that is now in its new chapter. See, the new chapter isn't just Barb and I empty nesters. It's also a new chapter with our kids as
It definitely
adults,
is.
or young adults, and they've both amazed me in their ability to take care of themselves. I underestimated both of them. I
I
really
think
did.
we
We both,
do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Can
that,
they do this?
yeah, that kind of letting go is not the kind where you cut someone off, but it's still a big change.
It's definitely a letting go. Yeah. Yeah. You're still there for them but in a very different way.
I heard a phrase at one point that, you know, if you try to hold on to someone who's leaving, they said, let go or be dragged.
Our betrayed.
It's like you're holding on to the bumper of the car.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm going to read just we're getting close to our end here. I'm going to read Matthew Hussey. He gives 7 steps to letting go and moving on from someone. And I'll go
Great.
through these fast, but he says, look at it through the lens of addiction. And I thought, yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it because it is like an addiction. And he's talking about romantic relationships. Accept what you're really dealing with. You're dealing with an addiction, not a love story. And it's an addiction you have to beat. Connect with the true cost, the true pain. Maybe it's the cost of your peace of mind or the ability to meet other people. It's costing you your time, your sanity. Then he says, connect with the fact that seeing this person never works. Get the liquor out of the house. There's an irrational part of us that wants to satisfy the craving. Mute them on social media, he says. Ask the person not to reach out to you again. Do not text them. Anticipate the crash. When you've taken all the steps, you will feel bland and boring and maybe meaningless. We have to sit in the discomfort. The feelings are transient. Gradually, though, we start to need that person less and less. The pain becomes the background, not the foreground. Develop a new identity for yourself. Discard the, quote, I'm so in love with that person. A new identity can be, I'm a person who respects themselves. And then lastly, he says you have to put evidence behind the new identity. Your actions have to show that you respect yourself. I'm the person who values reciprocity. I'm the person who invests in people, who invests in me. I think that's good.
Yeah, that's
Don't
great.
you?
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Matthew. I know he's so good.
Yeah, and it's interesting, especially in a relationship that might be called toxic or unhealthy, and then people stay too long.
Well, they
Uh,
refuse to look at that part of it.
yeah, because they feel like there's so much to lose because they're not really looking at what they, would be gaining. Instead, it's just, they think they're losing all this. And also the idea of addiction, that you can get used to the worst thing in the world and want it, crave it.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes right down to it, cigarette smoking is one of the most ridiculous things that you might do. It's like, let me see. I think I'll take smoke and inhale it into my lungs and hold on to it till I can cough my head off. Do you remember Bob Newhart?
I do, of course.
Well, back when he was a stand-up comedian, he used to do these routines where he was, as if he was talking on the phone with someone, and you would only hear his side of the conversation. And there's one famous one where he's talking to Sir Walter Raleigh about this new thing called tobacco. And yeah, it's the PR agent who's going to try to sell this stuff. And he's like, wait, you do what with it? You light it on fire. Okay. And then what? Oh, no, you suck it into your lungs, do you? And when he puts it that way,
That's what it is.
you're just like, oh, well, that's kind of dumb. But we can get used to just about anything,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Yeah, we
including a
can.
bad relationship, you know?
Yeah. And there's all sorts of addictions, and that's, but yeah, that can be one of them. I'm addicted to this person, and I can't seem to stop. I can't get rid of these cravings at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that however it is you need to let go, whether it's let go of someone you're pining for, let go of someone who is not healthy for you, a relationship that is costing you too much, let go for good reasons, like children that need to become adults and cannot live underneath your wings anymore. That real love lets go and doesn't grasp.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I came to a point in my divorce, and I had what I call the real talk with myself. It was a bit of a, dark night of the soul. And I was talking to myself and doing some journaling, and which is how I talk to myself a lot. And I said, I just love her so much. And what I know, and because my heart was aching. And then the next thing I think I wrote down was, are you sure about that, Butch? And I remember going, where'd that come from?
Like it was just an intuitive voice.
Yeah. And I wrote it down too, so sometimes I feel like my journal is my therapist that talks, reflects back.
Oh yeah, that's important. Journaling's big.
And so I sat with that for a while. I said, well, what does that mean? And I started really delving into if I am the loving man, this is self-image and identity. If I'm the loving man I think I am, how is grasping and holding on to her a loving act? She has told you she is drowning. She feels she cannot survive in the way things are. And for her own good, she needs to have space and she needs to get away and all of that stuff. And I realized that either I open my hand and let her go, or let go of her, as I like to say it, or I'm fooling myself. I'm full of crap. Oh, you love her so much that you want to what? Put her in a cage? This is the myth of romantic love. Peter Piper here, he put her in a pumpkin shell. What's that? I mean, this is, And there he kept her very well. Wow. That's what we grew up hearing. And so.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And I wrote her a letter that the essence of it was, I love you more than my need to be with you. And I mean
that takes a lot of maturity.
Well, I wish I could say I came to that early in life, but
never too late.
Never too late. Yeah.
Never too late. Yeah. Anyway, another fascinating conversation. Gee, this could be another two-parter.
They all are.
We've tried to sort of explore all aspects of relationships. Are there more that we could touch on? Well, there's got to be. There's got to be. But obviously, people are interested in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So it gets more interesting all the time, I think.
It does. My heartfelt thanks to you, Tim, and so nice to have you back. And we will talk again. I know we will.
You can count on it.